Welcome to week 2 of our mobility stretching challenge. Today we have 2 new moves to learn, and they somewhat build on our moves from last week, the Bretzel and the Bretzel 2.0. Let's get right at it. For this particular stretch, you're going to need a pillow, and don't forget you'll need your timer. So I'm going to make sure my timer is set for about a minute, and it's all ready to go. So I'm going to talk you through the movement pattern first, and then we'll set the timer and we'll do it together. This particular stretch is going to work on opening up a little bit of the hip, a little bit of the chest, and also, as we've been doing, I'm trying to work on thoracic extension and rotation from the upper body. So I'm going to actually start by lying on my side. I'm going to be turned away from the camera a little bit, at least in the beginning, just so that you can see the end of the stretch, which you definitely want to be able to see easily. So I'm going to start on my side, away from you. I'm going to have both legs straight, and the top leg is going to be in front on the ground. My hands are going to be hands together, palms touching, down on the ground, and right at a 90-degree angle. My head will be down, supported by a pillow, and I'm going to come all the way over the top with the top arm, opening up as much as I possibly can, keeping my feet down and my hands on the ground. Once I get here, I'm going to bend this elbow, then straighten it up, come back down, keeping my elbow as close to the floor as I can, straightening the elbow back out, and then bringing it down. One more time, I open up the book as far as I can, getting my shoulder blade as close to the ground as possible, bending the elbow, keeping the elbow and hand on the ground as close as I can, coming back down, bringing it out, and then bringing it back. So let's get the timer going, and we're going to do that for 1 minute. Here we go. Open up as far as you can, rotate open, bend the elbow, kind of that scarecrow position, coming on up all the way as far as you can, coming on down, straightening that arm back out, coming where you came from. Opening up, reaching to the walls, ceilings, far as you can, bringing shoulder blade down, bending your elbow, reaching on up, coming back down, extending that arm straight, coming back and over. Reaching all the way across, opening up, bending the elbow, reaching, coming up, and you notice when I reach, my elbow comes up. I'm going to try to mitigate that the next time. All the way over, elbow down. And I'll do that anyway to see if I can do that and keep the elbow down, and then come back down. Okay, so that's side 1. I'm going to show you side 2 facing the camera so you can see the subtleties from the front. I'm going to be here in that same idea, side lying position. I'm going to bring one foot forward. That foot stays on the ground. So does my bottom foot. My hands are going to be in this position, elbows straight, palms together. Here we go. Open up as far as I can. Once I go maximally, I'll bend that elbow, reaching on up, coming back down, straightening out, coming on back. Reaching forward, upward, backward, shoulder blade down to the ground, bend, reach up overhead, come back down, straighten out, and come back to start. I want to get a little more hip in this. I can bring my foot up a little bit, and as I roll open, you may sense a little bit more stretch through the hip, or even through the spine, and so long as that is comfortable, that's perfectly fine to do. Coming on over the top, reaching across the body, bending the elbow, straightening, and coming on back. And that's the first exercise. The second exercise, I'm actually going to show you multiple levels, multiple positions, depending on where you are. The first position is going to be in this what's called low kneel or low sit position. Okay? From here, you'll bring your arms back behind you, and we're going to work on stretching the chest again, as well as the front of the thighs and up into the hip flexors a little bit. It's fairly simple to do. You just press through the ground, keeping the space between your ears and your shoulders open, and come all the way up and press. And you'll feel that stretch in the front. Now, we can add a little bit more motion to this by picking up one arm at a time. So I'm going to press on up as far as I can, and then pick up an arm and reach over my body, and then come back down. Opposite side, reach up, my hips, then reach up with my hand, coming over and giving a little turn. Okay. So take a moment to try that out and see how that feels. Now for some of you, this position, this low kneel position and having your knees this flexed is a little bit uncomfortable. But the reaching part is no problem. So if you're in that camp, you can change your posture a little bit, and you can come up onto this position, onto your toes, heels on toes, and then we can actually even get off the toes a little bit and come into what's called sort of like this camel-like, yoga style, camel-like position, where we're going to come up and I'm going to work on the hip extension here, nice and strong. So I'm still working the same movement patterns. It doesn't require as much bending from the knees, but it actually requires a little bit more strength in the core and a little bit more strength in the upper body. So there's a bit of a trade-off. Now I can still add that piece where I'm going to come up and over the top. So here, I'm going to reach up and over and get that stretch and come back down. And then reach up and over and get that stretch. And if you notice, I'm bending the back arm right now to do this. You can do that with arms straight. Once again, it requires a little bit more strength to do that. So you can reach up, straighten out the stance arm, in this instance my left, come on over. So there's a little bit more strength as well as a little bit more stretch that you get out of that down arm. Reach up and over, straightening the arms, coming on over the top. Okay, so that's version 2 of this stretch. The third version is called thoracic bridge. Very similar, I'm still going to be extending up, but now I'm going to ask for even more strength for my upper body and core as I come up over the top with an alternating arm reach. So let's start in that base position of trying to open up the hips and the chest. This time I'm on my feet. So I'm going to come up and just work this posture to start, table posture for you yogis. And as I come up now, I want to add that lift and rotation. So the way I've seen this more often than not is when you start, you're actually going to start with your hand off the ground, looking at your thumb. And what that does is it extends you first versus being some kind of a weird twist on the way up. So I'm going to extend up as far as I can, look back toward my hand, and when I've maximized that, I'm going to add a little bit of rotation away, and then I'm going to come back down. Okay, same thing, other side. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to reach up and over. I'm going to look and reach as far over the top as I can, and then turn a little bit and come back down. Okay, so since this is the same stretch and we're just doing one side or the other side, we have two choices. We can go one arm at a time for a minute, and then the other arm at a time for a minute, or we can alternate the sides for 2 minutes. It doesn't matter if you feel like you really want to loosen up one side. For the first 2 versions, I think it's very reasonable to do 1 minute and then change over to the other side, so you can focus on that one side. Once you get in this position, this table position, it is a little tough to sustain that arm for one side at a time. And I've actually taken many takes of this particular stretch, so my arms are getting tired. I'm going to make a choice to do 2 minutes straight and just alternate the sides for that 2 minutes. So pick the version that works best for you. Let's get our timer set however you want. I'm going to go for the 2 minutes. and we're gonna get this stretch done. Here we go. So I'm starting in table, coming on up. I'm gonna lift one arm up and over the top. Come back down. Now once I'm here, I've kind of set my hand position, my foot position. I can start right with my hand off the top, coming over the top, reaching, and then rotating at the very end. You notice I'm also looking down as I finish. Okay, so I'm getting a little neck rotation too. So I'm going to get extension, and then at the end, I'm going to get that neck rotation and add that in. So we really are getting a lot of different areas with this one. Again, I'm going slowly so that I can maximize the motion, but also so that I can sustain 2 minutes of doing it. I'm going to come up, over the top, turn at the end, looking down. Coming on back, coming on over, top, and then rotating over, coming on back. Good. I'm sure I keep my shirt down there. Coming on up, over, 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 rotating as much as I can at the top, head, and shoulder. Other side. Definitely wore the wrong shirt for this one. Okay, coming on up, over, 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 and now rotating. Arm and my neck as much as I can. Coming on down. Coming on up, over the top. Okay, so that's about 2 minutes. So take some time, go through those, pick the version that works best for you, and work on that for the week. You now have 4 stretches, 2 from last week and 2 from this week. I would prefer that you just worked on these 2 for at least the next 3 days. Just focus on these 2. Then 3 days from now, if you'd like, you can start adding the other 2 back in. But I want you to take some time to get comfortable with these. Now, you can add them in any way you want. You could do 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, or do all 4 at the same time. But if you're going to add them in, make sure that you dedicate some time to learning these 2 new exercises and giving them their due, just like you had the whole week to learn the first 2. I hope you enjoy them, and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday for week 3.